The rain had started falling just as she stepped out of the hospital doors, each drop hitting the pavement like a final verdict. Hannah Parker tightened her worn jacket around her shoulders, clutching a thin envelope that had just shattered her world. Inside it were 3 words that echoed louder than the thunder above: employment terminated effective immediately. Fired. After 8 years of night shifts, missed holidays, and silent sacrifices, she was now walking home with nowhere else to go. Her footsteps felt heavy, each step carrying the weight of rejection, humiliation, and fear. She had no idea that in less than an hour, 2 helicopters would land in the middle of a quiet American street, and strangers would be shouting, "Where's the nurse?" Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your small support helps keep these stories alive. Hannah lived in a modest apartment on the outskirts of a small town in Ohio, where life moved slowly and news traveled fast. The hospital where she worked was the only major medical center for miles, and nursing jobs were scarce. Being fired didn't just mean losing income, it meant losing dignity, stability, and identity. She had become a nurse after her mother died in a rural clinic that lacked proper care, promising herself she would never let another family feel that helpless. For years, she worked overtime, volunteered for the hardest shifts, and trained junior staff, but a recent misunderstanding had changed everything. A senior doctor had accused her of disobeying protocol during a chaotic emergency. Even though the patient survived, the administration chose to make her the example. No investigation. No chance to explain. Just a quick decision and a sealed envelope. The walk home was long. Rain soaked through her shoes, and the cold wind cut against her skin, but Hannah barely noticed. Her mind replayed every moment of that night in the emergency room, questioning herself again and again. Had she really made the wrong call? She remembered the young boy gasping for breath, the monitors screaming, the doctor not yet in the room, and the split-second choice she had made to start a life-saving intervention. The memory burned in her chest, but it also gave her a strange sense of peace. She knew, deep down, that she had done what was right. As she crossed a quiet suburban street lined with maple trees and small houses, her phone vibrated. It was a voicemail from her landlord reminding her that rent was due in 3 days. Hannah stopped walking. The world around her blurred, and for a moment, she felt as if she might collapse right there on the wet sidewalk. She whispered a small prayer into the rain, asking for strength, not miracles. Just strength to survive another day. That was when she heard the distant chopping sound, faint at first, then growing louder. She looked up, squinting through the rain. 2 dark shapes appeared in the cloudy sky, descending rapidly. Helicopters. In this quiet neighborhood, the sight was shocking. People began stepping out of their homes, umbrellas popping open, faces filled with confusion. The helicopters circled once, then lowered toward an empty field near the road. The wind from their blades sent leaves and water swirling into the air, forcing everyone to shield their faces. As the engines roared to a stop, several men and women in dark uniforms jumped out, scanning the crowd. Their voices rang out urgently, asking the same question again and again, "Where's the nurse? We need Hannah Parker right now." The sound of her name hit her like a physical force. For a second, she thought she must be imagining it. But then one of them spotted her standing frozen near the sidewalk, her soaked jacket and trembling hands impossible to miss. They rushed toward her, explaining breathlessly that a private medical flight had been diverted midair. A powerful senator's young daughter, Abigail Reynolds, had collapsed suddenly during a family visit to a nearby town. The local clinic was overwhelmed, and her condition was deteriorating fast. In a frantic search for specialized emergency care, someone had remembered Hannah's exceptional skills from a past training program. They had tracked her address and followed her route home, desperate to find her before it was too late. Hannah stood in disbelief, her mind struggling to catch up. Only minutes ago, she had felt invisible, discarded. Now, strangers were pleading for her help. Without hesitation, she nodded and followed them toward the helicopter. As she climbed aboard, she felt the weight of fear return, but this time it was mixed with purpose. The rain streaked across the windows as they lifted into the sky, carrying her toward a life hanging by a thread. Inside the small emergency unit they had set up in a temporary landing zone near the clinic, chaos ruled. Machines beeped relentlessly, and the air was thick with tension. Abigail lay unconscious, her breathing shallow, her skin pale. Doctors had tried standard treatments, but nothing worked. Hannah took a deep breath, pushing aside her exhaustion and heartbreak. She focused completely, recalling obscure procedures she had once studied but never expected to use. Her hands moved with steady precision as she assessed, adjusted, and intervened. Minutes stretched into eternity. Everyone watched in silence as Hannah worked, her concentration absolute. Slowly, the monitors began to stabilize. Abigail's chest rose more evenly, her pulse strengthened, and color returned to her cheeks. A collective breath was released across the room. Tears streamed down her mother's face as she grasped Hannah's hand in gratitude. In that moment, all the pain of the day faded. Hannah felt only relief and an overwhelming sense of purpose. News of the rescue spread rapidly. By morning, local and national outlets were calling Hannah a hero. The hospital that had fired her issued a public apology, offering her job back along with a promotion and a formal commendation. But something inside Hannah had shifted. The experience reminded her why she had chosen this path, not for recognition or job security, but to stand beside people in their most fragile moments. She eventually accepted a position with a specialized emergency response team, traveling to underserved areas across the country. Every time she boarded a helicopter, she remembered that rainy evening when she had walked home broken and afraid, unaware that her greatest calling was about to find her. Before this story ends, please take a moment to comment below with a single word that describes how this journey made you feel. Near the end of her first year with the response team, Hannah returned to her hometown for a brief visit. As she walked past the same street where everything had changed, she paused, listening to the quiet. The rain was gone, replaced by soft sunlight filtering through the trees. She realized that sometimes, life's cruelest moments are simply the doorway to something far greater. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you to never give up, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps spread these messages of hope and resilience to others who may need them.